When the pyramids were still young, grade school children played a game of great and terrible power. But these Yu-Gi-Oh duels erupted into chaos, as nobody could agree what the rules were. Until a great and powerful 6th grader locked away his
God, I had that poster! I had that same poster! Oh, went too far. Good lord. I brought this up multiple times in the past, and I'll bring it up again. A long time ago, this would have been back during the era where RedTube was like the king of porn. I watched a video where 2 lesbians were fisting their buttholes in front of a Yu-Gi-Oh poster. Not this one, but one almost like it, with Yugi holding the card straight up with the Egyptian symbols behind him, and it said Yu-Gi-Oh. And now, every time I see a Yu-Gi-Oh poster, it's almost the first thing I think of. It's like, damn, I remember that video. There's almost no theme song that hits harder than the Yu-Gi-Oh theme.
It's time to
Somebody help him. Help him to the hospital.
Yeah, Ackman's a karate master.
Oh, I guess cardboard is actually quite the booming industry. Despite my rose-tinted
Yu-Gi-Oh!
glasses,
Fun fact, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still, I think, number 18 most profitable franchise of all time, I think. Someone correct me. It's top 20, but it's up there. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is absolutely huge.
He lives in a world where everyone has ridiculous haircuts, and eventually he obtains and solves the Millennium Puzzle.
No, the Shadow
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Realm was
absorbs
invented
the
for
soul of
Western.
An ancient Egyptian pharaoh named
In the
Aten,
normal Yu-Gi-Oh!
and
They
gets
just
an
die.
alter ego, Yami Yugi.
And together the two run amok within society by challenging people of questionable morals to a game of chance, and then if they lose, killing them, banishing their soul to eternal damnation in the Shadow Realm. Wait, the main character does all this? That's right, the protagonist of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a mass-murdering vigilante. And that's fucking badass. But
It
what we
is
got here
badass.
in America, anything remotely related to religion, sex, titties, basically anything cool, they censored Taya going to the
True.
bathroom. Why?
Some of the things were very obscure that they would censor. They would censor like midriff, stuff like that. It's just, it's interesting because people don't realize that as kids because it's like the first time that you've seen it, and you might be wondering like, what's going on?
I actually
Like,
never saw this one. I didn't know Parasite got changed. Damn, that is much cooler artwork.
So, pretty hardcore stuff, right? But somewhere along the
Yep,
line,
that's
it
all
was
Season Zero
decided
shit.
that all these unique shadow games would
The-
morph into one.
yeah, you
played
just
with
mentioned it.
cards, monsters, and real
They just brought it all
magic.
together for the
Whether or
card
not
game.
the anime was just a vessel to sell trading cards, I can't say. But a major reason Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so awesome is its premise. You're reliving ancient Egyptian battles.
So
in
cool.
games
Yeah, I
of
loved it as a
life
kid.
and death.
I've got too many questions.
I suppose I should explain how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is played for all you heathens.
Oh, you
that
should
are
use
unaware.
Master Duel
'Cause I
instead.
figure, if there is intelligent life out there, then let's teach them how to duel.
Love that line. What happens in that scene is Kaiba sends a rocket to space with some Yu-Gi-Oh cards in it, and his reasoning is he wants to teach aliens how to duel. And if I remember correctly, an alien did respond and come down to duel us. Isn't that the origin of Yubel? Who was it? I'm pretty sure it's Yubel, which is a series of cards in the game. There's Yubel, Yubel, Terror Incarnate, Yubel, Ultimate Nightmare, or some shit. It was Elemental Hero Neos. Was it? I don't know. I'm going off memory. I don't remember fully. I just remember that part.
You triggered my trap card!
To me, like, that's almost like indicative of what Yu-Gi-Oh is like, you've activated my trap card, right? Like, you don't.
Yeah, now
just
traps are
get
kinda
to,
fucking
like, do
worthless
your
'cause
turn and
everything's so
freeze
quick.
and, like, nothing else happens.
You
It's
can't
like,
wait a
you've activated
turn.
my trap. I use this. I use that. You know.
The only
you
trap
thought
that's really
that
good now is
those
Skill
sort of
Drain.
comebacks-
You thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you thought. There's a lot more to it than that, but Duel Monsters was all about building a deck of 40 or more cards that synergize and create a cohesive strategy. You know, come to think
And
of it,
Imprint.
why
Oh,
does
and
society
Imprint.
resolve
Skill
all their
Drain and
personal
Imprint.
disputes by playing a
Everything else
children's
is
card
hand
game?
traps.
You know what?
Or
Doesn't
Eldritch.
matter.
I have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Attaboy.
No, I am not a
That's
virgin.
nothing, though.
I hope you can accept me into your ranks despite that.
I discovered Yu-Gi-Oh! At the best
One day
time
I'll show
possible,
you
well,
my
in the
room.
4th grade. Must have been 2003.
One day.
Because Yu-Gi-Oh!
He's
never
got some good items there, though. He kind of glanced over some of these, but these are like some OG starter decks in here. And then he's even got some of the old Legendary Duelist box over
spending
here.
money
I think
on
he had
collecting
the...
and talking about.
Yep, he's got Joey, Kaiba. Kaiba one's got some money in there.
you know, like Breaker the Magical Warrior, Spirit Reaper, Sangan, which is the
These
Black
aren't
Warrior.
A lot
iconic
of
cards,
people go with
though.
the classic, like,
Those are just, like,
things
really
Monster
good cards
Reborn,
from back in the
Blue
day
Eyes,
that
Red
people
Eyes,
remember.
Jinzo even.
Maybe for me though, it actually would be Exodia.
True! Exodia is another big one. Karibo.
But it's like,
The imposing presence of Jinzo.
Ew, not even first ed? Oh. Eek. I wouldn't even let something like that touch my hands. Not even first ed Jinzo. Yikes.
The mysterious horror of Relinquished, and the badass armor of the Black Luster Soldier. Egyptian god cards. Exodia, a monster so powerful it's illegal to play him.
Where's yours? It's right over there. you can't see it. I'll show my room at some point. I have them, like... So I have every single card ever printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! In first ed, as long as it's ultimate rare and above. But I have most of the sets framed, so I put them around my walls. I've shown my whole I've shown most of my collection in a video like last year. I'd always dreamed of completing that collection. It took me a long time, but we did it.
Initially, Duel Monsters wasn't rocket science, but apparently that's what it's turned into.
So that's a common misconception that I had as well. It just wasn't rocket science because I was just a snot-nosed fucking baby boy idiot. So at a high level, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta was always pretty deep. Like, they had infinite combos as far back as, like, Magic Ruler, I think. So it always had, like, crazy turns you could do. The only difference now is the turns are much longer because of all the summoning mechanics.
If you tried coming back to Yu-Gi-Oh! After taking an 18-year break, you got no chance.
Yeah, you're absolutely fucked.
The amount of new mechanics and stuff you gotta learn just to competently play will make your head spin.
Oh god, yeah, that's not even the half of it. The chain links, the spell speeds, oh my god, it's so much.
The best normal summon monster was Hitatsumi Giant at one point. Then it was La Jin,
Then it was
Chaser,
yep.
Gemini Elf, Alexandrite.
This was controversial. Do you guys know
Then
why
it was
Mechanical
La Jin.
Chaser was controversial? Because it was only for the tournament. It was a tournament card. So that you could only get it from going to the actual events. And it was the best card in the game for a while because it was an 1850 attack. So if you played that on your opening hand, you kind of fucked your opponent off a rip. It was actual pay to win for a minute.
You could be the best player in the world. It doesn't matter how good you are. You cannot outplay certain mechanics of the game. Certain things will just say you can't special summon. Doesn't matter. You can take the worst player, give him that one Yu-Gi-Oh card, and like even if he's brand new to the game, he can activate that and it's game over.
I don't know. Maybe the problem is the business
Floodgates
model. How do
is
we
what it's
sell
called.
New cards.
One of the biggest problems with the game that you'll see if you care at all. I don't know how many people actually give a fuck, but Yu-Gi-Oh has floodgates which lock out certain things. So one of the biggest ones at the moment that a lot of people don't like is something called Artifact Scythe and Mystic Mine. Artifact Scythe is it's a monster card that you can play in your spell and trap card zone, and without getting too deep into it, basically what happens is when you get it down the right way, it locks your opponent out from special summoning at all. Mystic Mine is a spell card where your opponent doesn't play. Mystic Mine just means your opponent's not playing that game anymore. You play Mystic Mine, the game is you're just done playing for a while. Here, I'll pull up Mystic Mine. Even if you don't know Yu-Gi-Oh, you can read this and be like, wow, that sounds fucking dumb. And it is fucking dumb. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. Once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. So you can see why that'd be troublesome, since the entire game revolves around effects and attacks. And this is an extremely oppressive card. It legitimately stops the game until the card is dealt with. I'll tell you right now, I'm not high level with Magic. I'm still trying to get better at it. I still like Magic. It is nothing like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so unbelievably, needlessly convoluted and complicated compared to Magic, where it's a lot more intuitive. If you're good at Magic, you're not going to translate any of that to Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic is probably a better designed game, though. I would agree with that. The beauty of Magic is anyone can learn it pretty quickly. At least get like somewhat of a grasp on it. Yu-Gi-Oh, you're gonna need to set aside like a week and study it like a college course. Yu-Gi-Oh is just so much to take in all at once. So that's the card. He no longer can play against me. So he's unaffected by shit, and then the material I use with the right-hand shark makes it so he also can't be destroyed by battle. So he's totally unaffected by card effects, totally unaffected by magic and trap cards. Doesn't matter, he's unaffected. And the material I use makes him unable to be destroyed by battle, so he actually just can't die. Under no circumstances can he die. Unless he has a kaiju where he can tribute it. So this just goes on for like 30 minutes here. This poor guy just sits here and just stews in it. Like he just can't do anything. He can't lava golem me, I only have one monster. So I just slowly draw Exodia over the course of 18 turns. Now this guy did have a way of beating me though. He could have used Sky Striker Hayate, I think, the one that attacks directly, and just attack my life points. But like a fucking moron, he blew through all of his copies of it before I summoned it. So he was fucked. Holy shit, you literally don't play the game? Nope, I just sit here, pass turn, slow draw Exodia. There's just certain things you can do in Yu-Gi-Oh, man, that shut down playing. But this isn't like a good deck. Like, this deck will never win a tournament or anything. Oh, I didn't remember him surrendering. I remember drawing Exodia, but that might have been a different time I played it. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's got so much crazy shit to it.
There is no limit to the number of monsters you can summon, cards you can search from your deck, cards you can get back from your graveyard to your hand, or
not everything's once per turn, so you can infinite loop.
Crazy shit. Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten to a point where so much shit is happening, you can end up having 15-minute long turns, where someone goes
That's a quick
half
turn.
Of their deck, has 10 cards in the graveyard and like 8 cards in their hand, 5 monsters on the field on the first turn.
He can't be destroyed by spells or traps.
What?
Alrighty then, I special summon Blue Eyes to attack your legendary fisherman. He can't be destroyed by battle. So
I haven't seen Legendary Fisherman 3. I can't imagine he's good though.
He is unaffected by all spells and traps. Okay, so I'm gonna punch you in the mouth and then I'm gonna flip this table over.
If I were to explain all...
If you want a really good example of a card that was meta-defining for a little while, it was the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This card is, I still think, an outrageous card, and this was totally legal for a while. This card was so fucking stacked. So unbelievably fucking stacked. So it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. It has a great base stat line, by the way. It can't be targeted by effects. Like, it is just so nasty, and it can just straight destroy a monster that your opponent controls and inflict damage to your opponent based on its attack. Such a nutty card.
Put Gravity Bind on the field as the field spell card, and then activate Messenger of Peace, which will allow me to get Scapegoat.
That's a strong board.
And now I can add 1 card from my graveyard to my hand. When the left leg of
Why do you like Yu-Gi-Oh so much when it's broken and for so long? I don't know, there's just nothing like it.
The rest of my deck to my hand.
It's just such an outrageously complicated card game that you can do some goofy shit with.
Is over and I win.
Just look at all the ways there are to summon monsters on the field. Normal, special, set, tribute, flip, fusion, ritual, synchro, Ixies, pendulum, and link. You think that's enough? Duels with newer cards just turn into, like, debates and science projects. Or a fucking reading lesson. It's not fun. I guess I wouldn't be
Another
so
fun fact is, the last one I watched live, I think, was YCS Charlotte. And that was the one where in the actual grand finals, I think there was 2 missed calls from the judges, because I feel like a lot of times even the judges get confused on the rules. I think it was the Eldritch player made like an illegal move or something that chat was trying to call out, but the judges didn't know or some shit. I'm spotty on the details now, but I watched it live and I was like, what the fuck? Stop selling cards for a while, then relaunch with a new line with new rules. You could grandfather in cards that still... No. If you want to save Yu-Gi-Oh, this is what I've staunchly advocated for. I think you just make more formats, man. There's something called GOAT format, which is the format all of us remember from back in the day. There's something called Edison format, which I think is super hype, which is basically format up to 2011. So it's still got that complexity. It's still got like synchro. It's still got a lot of depth to it. Like you make more formats. You're never going to fix modern format. I think it's too far gone. It's too locked in. There's not a whole lot to be done there. But you can make sets going forward that are specific for formats. And you can keep different formats alive. So I think that's really like the only thing they can do. Or you just keep going whole hog here and just keep the power creep going wild. Like, there's not a ton of options.
Yo, wake me up when this shit's over.
That's another thing. Power creep progressed so far that at one point, traps and flip effect monsters were considered too slow.
They're still considered that.
Is too slow.
There's only one
what?
archetype that uses traps, and it's Eldritch, and it's good.
Basically,
but
traps you activate
traps are
from
still
the
considered too
hand.
slow.
And that's the thing. Hand trap. That doesn't even make sense. You have to lay a trap before it can activate. That's why you had to put it down and you couldn't activate it the same turn. You were laying a trap. You want to talk about card
Is
text?
trap tricks even
Take
good
a
though?
Look at this asshole.
I haven't kept up with the most recent metas.
Well, it's kept the
Prime
game
Dre.
alive, and I'd rather people be able to play and enjoy new Yu-Gi-Oh than not at all, because I can still play with the cool cards. However, the more Yu-Gi-Oh drifted away from its ancient Egyptian roots, the stupider the game and the anime started to feel. And I'm not even talking about game mechanics, just the art names and archetypes. I guess there's only so many Egyptian-themed cards.
I couldn't disagree more. Some of the art is hitting hard in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Fucking sushi ships, they go in. That archetype I think is dog shit based on what I've seen, but man, that archetype is cool. Oh yeah, those sushi ships go so hard.
We went from menacing insects and hordes of zombies to cars? An archetype on cars?
Hey, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. That's early too. This is still the car archetype that was played by Turbo Nerd from GX. Was it Truesdale? What the fuck is his name? I don't remember. This is old. This isn't even new. This is old. That's cheating. You just chose one of their dumb ones from back in the day.
Oh, and you can't forget I'm playing this card alongside my Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lieb. Blaze Phoenix the Burning Bombardment Bird.
I forgot how fucking awesome Yu-Gi-Oh names were. Like, if I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh and I'm hearing these names, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to get myself a starter deck pretty soon. That shit really does go so hard in modern Yu-Gi-Oh for no reason. It actually is just complete nonsense words. Like just any cool words you can think of. Nova Super Cannon Deluxe Turbo Mode. Blood Blaster. I couldn't think of more words. I just love that shit, man. It's so good.
Links to their channels will be in the description. Please go check them out if you want
This is a good breakdown.
Yu-Gi-Oh videos that are way better than mine. All right, everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh man signing out.
I just love Yu-Gi-Oh, man. I don't think there's a single franchise or property that I'm as passionate about as Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm so fucking into that shit and have been for so long now, it's unreal.